Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is Tajala Robertson. It's been a super long time since I put out any type of video. We all know it's going a little crazy in the world right now with the global pandemic and all of that. But me personally, just real quickly, if you have not seen my post in my community tab, I have been going through my own personal situations, family situations that have been weighing on me. And so I'm just kind of stepping back from social media and all this fear and everything that is out there so that that's not topped on to what I've been going through. But personally, in the last 2 weeks, I've lost 2 family members, not to coronavirus. It has been to other things that I will mention later because I do want to share about it because I think it's important to talk about it. But I've lost 2 family members within the past 2 weeks. This is my first experiences with like close loss. So I know we're all going through our things. I know some of us have lost family members even to coronavirus. And so I'm hopping on because I have something I want to say, and I also want to encourage everyone. Those who have not been affected by coronavirus or anything else, I'm praying that God continues to cover you and your family. Those who have been infected, especially if you've already, well, not already, if you have lost a family member to coronavirus or even to anything else, as is with my situation, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for your family. And I hope that I can encourage you to stay strong in your faith, because I'm seeing firsthand how it can shake someone's faith up, because you're wondering, like, you have a lot of questions for God, like, just why? That'd be the biggest question, why? But so hopefully I can encourage you. But what I have to talk about is basically the coronavirus, yes, in Jesus, because I have been, we all been seeing everything on the news, on social media, all these different places. But I saw this video where this man who had contracted coronavirus, or however you say it, who was infected. So he had it, and he was sick, and he was explaining his symptoms and what he was going through. I'm not sure if he was recovered at this point. He looked like he was still in like a hospital bed or in hospital clothes, but he was sharing his story, and he was saying, his symptoms he felt. And so he went in, he got tested, and he said when the doctors came back and told him that he had tested positive for coronavirus, he said that they basically told him, they isolated him, obviously, because now you got to be isolated and quarantined in the hospital or whatever, however it goes. I don't know. I haven't been there or in there to see. But basically, they isolated him because he's positive, and they were telling him, there's nothing we can do for you. And so they told him that you need to pray. Like, you need to pray because there's nothing that we can do for you. Your body has to fight it. So that's what they told him. And so he's saying, so, I'm sitting here thinking like I'm going to die. So they leave him there or whatever. He said, I'm sitting here thinking I'm going to die. And basically the doctors are telling him they can't do anything for him. And so it was maybe like 2 weeks ago or something, I saw that. And it was just like, oh, wow, like that's just really crazy. That's kind of the response I had. And I think I kind of had a thought of like, I wonder if he ended up sitting there and praying then. I don't know. And I'm not sure if he was already recovered or if today like he's recovered. But in my heart, I believe that he had recovered, because he was well and talking about he thought he was going to die, but he didn't. So anyways, I saw that video, and then, I see other things on social media, and nobody really knows what's going on inside of the hospitals except the people who are trying their best to keep people alive, and the nurses and the doctors in there, the essential workers at the hospital, the people that are trying their best to take on this load. And so I actually have a word for our hospital workers, for our essential workers, because I know it's a frustrating situation to be in. And one thing I do want to say, I do want to let y'all know that, whether you believe in God or not, God has led you into the position you are in right now, and he has chosen you for this season. So you guys are equipped to handle it. You guys have the knowledge. You guys, have the tools. And so that's why you guys are our essential workers. That's why you guys are frontline right now dealing with it. And so we continue to hold you guys up in prayer and continue to pray that this thing does not touch you or any of your family members. But I do want you to know that whether you believe in God or not, it was God that positioned you here in this exact moment. But you have to allow him to use you. And so I say that because I know it's frustrating. I know, the outside world has no idea really what's going on in the hospital. So we can't know really how bad it is. We see the numbers, we see they're rising. It's like, oh, it's bad. But like, we don't see this firsthand like you guys do. And so I see some doctors and some nurses that are on social media and trying to let us know like what's really going on. But it's usually in this effort to make sure we know like it's serious, right? So stay home. But I saw, basically, I'm starting to see some very, some things that are said by the doctors and the nurses that kind of make me think like, what? The first time that I saw something that I had the side eye, there was a post, and I think the post was trying to say like that the media was trying to scare us or whatever. I don't know, it was saying something about the media, letting us know that we got to be careful with the media and can't really trust everything that they're putting out. And so in the comments, there was actually a woman who was able to say like, hey, I'm a nurse, like, and I've been in there, I've been doing this work. And so she's basically sharing like, like I'm a nurse and it's really bad in there. And she said basically like the media wasn't even showing us how bad it was. So basically in her perspective, it's actually much worse. Her being frontline is actually much worse than what the media is putting out. And she's saying, every day we have to decide who to let live and who to turn over. And when she said that, first of all, she said it very casually. Like, I mean, I get it. She's trying to say like, it's really that bad and we got to make these decisions because, we don't got enough ventilators as we know now and resources, obviously. And so she's saying we have to decide every day who to let live and who to let turn over. And so for me, that's when I'm like, that don't sit right with me. It's like, ooh, I know in this type of situation, y'all don't got a choice, or you feel like you don't have a choice because if it's not enough resources, it's not enough resources. And so that brought up a lot of things for me because it makes me wonder if people are dying from the virus or are they being let turn over because there's not enough resources? So I wonder if there were enough resources, if more people will be able to survive. But that's aside from the point that I want to make, because my thing is like, family members are not able to be in there. So how do I know how do I know that it's not my family member or my loved one that was chosen to be let go? Like that doesn't make me feel more secure. But anyways, so I'm glad that she said it because it's the truth. That's what's obviously going on in her hospital. I don't know what's going on in all of them, but that is what she says, that they're deciding every day who to let live and who to let turn over. So yeah, in my mind, I'm like, so y'all trying to play God. And so, but I'm like, okay, whatever. I wouldn't know what to do in a situation like this. But I think it got more bothersome for me where I'm like, okay, at this point, we got to be careful, because I saw another doctor saying what they had to say about it and what's going on and why everyone needs to stay in and blah, blah, blah. And they had like a different heart about it. And that's what I'm saying. It was like, you, as the frontline workers, y'all have to know that God has equipped y'all for this. Like the rest of us can't do this. We don't know the things that y'all know. So y'all, we're relying on y'all, and you guys have stepped into this because you have a heart for people to heal. Basically, it's the gift of healing, to heal, to see people recover and to, help people with their health. And so this is why I want to get on here to make this caution, because some doctors and nurses, at least for this particular one, the more I'm seeing y'all kind of, not, I don't want to say y'all, but the more I'm seeing some of these nurses and doctors speak out of their frustration, it's kind of like showing their heart, which looks like, ooh, if I was in there, I wouldn't want you to be my doctor. You know, it's like showing a different heart than the heart that I know led y'all to y'all work. Or led you to your work, not all there. So when I'm saying y'all, I hope y'all get, I'm not talking about all doctors, but I'm talking about the select few who have become so overwhelmed and they're feeling like they're ultimately responsible for a life. And so I'm gonna get there because it's not true. So this next person that I saw that was a doctor and sharing what was going on or whatever, they was basically trying to get everyone to know, like, look, this is going on and this is going on and we don't have enough ventilators, so you guys need to stay home and blah, 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 and da-da-da, and it's this bad and blah, blah, blah. Then they made this statement and highlighted and said, don't make us play God because you guys want to stay out and have drink parties, whatever. The last part don't really matter. But that part, don't make us play God. No matter what, you can never be God. And so I'm hoping I don't step on any toes, but I'm saying this is a video for our hospital workers and for non-hospital workers, because I get to that soon. But for our hospital workers, we got to be careful. Look, none of us can do this job that y'all are doing right now. Y'all are the ones chosen and equipped for this, but you have to be careful not to think that a person's life, like, that you are their God, because no matter what, you're not my God. And I know it's a tough decision that you guys are having to make. Some people are getting a ventilator, some people are not. But when you've decided, okay, we're going to give this ventilator to this person, or we're going to treat this person, because that was another thing they said. They said, we have the right to, basically they said, based on if they feel like you're going to survive or not, they have the right to stop treating you. So that's why I'm like, y'all gotta be careful speaking out and trying to get people to stay in their house in the midst of your frustrations of what's going on, because it's putting out what's really in your heart, and what seems to be really in your heart is like not, doesn't seem like you truly have the heart to help all of these people and make sure that you did all that you could to make them survive. It seems like it gives no comfort to family members who cannot be in there with their family member while they're going through this. And so you have to be careful to understand. So if you do have to make that decision, because at the end of the day, I feel like these are decisions y'all have to come to. If you do have to make that decision, or actually, let me back it up. So I got to this today because I remembered that man, actually. This morning, I remembered the man that was saying, like, they told me that there's nothing they could do. And it rung in my ears, my head again today. There's nothing we can do. You just have to pray, and your body has to fight it. And then it made me think about one of my last posts on Instagram, and I even posted on here and in my community tab, and I was saying, this pandemic has removed access to like a lot of the things that we idolize, overindulged in, ain't going out to no clubs, ain't going out to, we're not distracting ourselves with this busy life, so now we're in the house, and a lot of us don't have more time necessarily, because a lot of y'all got to homeschool kids and be at home with, but a lot of things have been removed. And so we have more opportunity to turn to God, because it's like, your day may be more busy, but for your idle time, what are you doing with it? Like, once you're done with the day with work and your kids or whatever, now do I scroll through Instagram, or now do I get on Netflix? So it's like, it's removed a lot of things. We've got to this point where we realize the government, obviously, I don't think they know what they're doing. you can't really trust them because how did this get like this, right? Or what are we doing? Government, you can't fully depend on them like that. So we see how that's iffy, right? Then money. Some of us have actually been laid off. Some people have actually been laid off. So now they have a financial issue. And so now you're forced to be reliant on God and know that He's going to provide the food and the things that you need within your house to continue to function, to continue to live. And you're going to see how He's going to do that. So many things have been stripped by them basically shutting down the city, the cities, the states, the community, so many things have been shut down. So there's been a whole bunch of shift for us. We have to re-identify the things that we attached ourselves to, the things that we depended on. And so today I realized when that ran through my head again about, there's nothing we can do. You got to pray. Your body has to fight it. I realized God is also removed. And I'm not going to say removed because I don't think that He's just the reason for this pandemic. I don't think so. But nothing can happen without God allowing it to happen. So here we are, because of our human sin and all this stuff. Here we are in a pandemic. People are dying, and we've all come to these points where we realize, dang, I depended so much on this thing. And like now, I see how it is not there, or I see how I can depend on it. So even with the doctors, it's like we depend on doctors for our health. They have the cures for everything. They have the knowledge. They have all the things that we need when we are sick and we going through something to help us to get better. But here's a virus where we don't have a cure. Here's yet another thing where we don't have a cure. So how can I depend on the doctor to cure me? Now, the doctors are there because they know what to do while I'm experiencing my symptoms, right? So that is why they're there. But ultimately, when it comes to my life, if they have no cure, they can't do anything for me other than try as best they can to sustain me and hope that my body fights it and gets through this. And so my thing is, some people have been passing away and some people have been recovering. But I'm like, for the people who have recovered, who healed their body? Who healed their body? And so because at the end of the day, it was not the doctor, because the doctor don't got the cure. The doctor did what they did to sustain the person. And so, that's why it's a blessing to have people in their different occupations and their different gifts and their different talents. These people are doing their job to sustain the people in the hospital right now. And we just hope that the person eventually gets better and recovers and doesn't get worse. And so those doctors who told that man, look, it's nothing we can do, you got to pray and hope, you hope your body fights it, because that's what these people have to rely on if you catch the coronavirus. I cannot rely on the doctor to cure me because, like they said, it's nothing we can do for you. And so God has not only removed those other things we talked about, but He's removed He's shown us, when you have nothing, what are you depending on? When you have nothing, where does your faith lie? Because if the doctors can't cure me, now I do got to pray that, dang, I hope I'm one of those people who my body will fight this thing and I will recover. And then granted, I don't want to scare y'all because a lot of people are recovering, but the news is not telling y'all that. So y'all can look that up, y'all. I mean, not that they're not telling y'all that, but it's not being as promoted as the people that are dying. They're putting out how many cases there are. Let me tell you why the case number is going up, especially because we did this stay in the home thing. And so how is it going up faster now that we're starting to stay in the house, right? Numbers are going up because who was ever getting tested for the coronavirus, right? So numbers of cases are going to continue to go up. So they're going to give you the number of the cases and it's going to continue to go up. But y'all need to also tell us how many people are recovering, but they're not telling. They're telling us the cases and they're telling us the deaths. But other cases, how many people have recovered that have had it already? So we need to know that also. So I want to let y'all know people are recovering. People are dying and then people are also recovering. So when you hear somebody got tested, because I think we hear somebody got tested and we think, dang, that's not a death sentence for that person. Now is the time to pray. before anyone gets it, we're hoping no one is touched by it. We're hoping we don't even have to see it. Nobody should be positive. But if someone in your family is tested positive, now we go deep into prayer, because now, again, I cannot depend too much on the doctors, especially when there's not enough ventilators, and if they cannot sustain me because there's not enough resources to sustain everybody. How do I know if I might end up being the person they choose to let turn up, So it's like, at the end of the day, going back to that comment where, don't make us play God. No matter what, you cannot play God, because you can sit there and you can decide, look, we don't think this person is going to make it, so we're going to go ahead and continue to treat this person and cease treatment over here. This is according to the mouth of that person. I don't know if this is going on in every hospital. I don't even know if it's going on in hospitals at all, or if this is just this one person's thought process. But this was a doctor, and this is what they said they're doing. So if you happen to decide we're going to let this person turn over, if God has decided that it's not that person's time, guess who's going to heal them? Guess who's all of a sudden going to recover and get better? Because at the end of the day, it's the people who are recovering on their own. It's nothing y'all are giving them. Y'all are helping the symptoms. It's nothing y'all are giving them, because we don't have a cure. So if God has decided this person must live still, you've decided to stop treating this person, but watch their body heal itself. Like, watch their body recover from it. Watch their body fight it off. Why? Because God has chosen this person to continue in their life. And it's so that's what I'm saying. If you are affected by it, if you have a family member that's affected, you need to go into prayer, because at this point, it's only God that's going to heal this person, that's going to allow this person to fight through this, because it's nothing that anybody can give them. So we can barely, we can't depend on, let's say it straight, we cannot depend on the doctor to heal the person, because they don't have the cure. We're depending on them to sustain us. But ultimately, to find out at the end of this, okay, as long as you're sustaining me, but at the end of this, will I actually recover, or will I continue to get worse? That's the God part. That's the Jesus part. That's where I'm having faith in God. Because look, thank you for sustaining me, but Jesus is the cure right now, because none of y'all know the cure. None of y'all know how to get rid of this thing to make it stop doing what it's doing. So I need my body to recover, and so I'm going to pray. You're at the point where you have nothing else to do but to rely on prayer. So as a frontline worker, as a nurse, as a doctor, whatever, be careful with that thought that you are the one playing God. You're not. When you decide to stop treating a person, if that's what y'all got to do, continue to pray for that person. At that point, you really do need God to come in for that person, and just pray for a miracle for that person, that somehow, we stopped treating them, but their body ended up doing it for them. So my thing is the doctors do not give up on. Don't just say, oh yeah, we're just going to let you turn over. We're just going to not give you treatment anymore because we're just going to let you turn over. No, that's the wrong terminology. Thing is, we have to cease treatment, but we're praying this person is able to fight it still. So don't get confused thinking that you are God or anybody's God, because you're not. And that is just a point of pride, where it's like, okay, God, yeah, it's just a scary place to be, thinking that you're playing God. We got to humble ourselves, y'all. We got to humble ourselves. We're not God. Because, yeah, God is the ultimate healer, provider, protector. So it's like, when I can't depend on the doctor, I have nothing to do but to depend on God. And so, for anyone who is sick, for anyone who does know someone who is sick, I want to share James 5:14-15. It says, is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the church and let them pray over him, anointing him with oil in the name of the Lord, in the name of Jesus. And the prayer of faith, y'all got to have faith, will save the sick, and the Lord will raise him up. So pray. You need to pray for this person. And it says a prayer of faith, because we're hearing, dang, so-and-so tested positive, and we're automatically thinking that they're about to die. It's not a death sentence. You hear somebody tested positive, you instantly begin to pray. Because, again, the doctors can't do anything but sustain this person and hope at the end of it that they recover. So we're relying on Jesus to have this person to recover. If we believe that this person, that there's more purpose that needs to be filled in this person's life according to God's will for their life, we need to pray. We know that it is not God's will for them to go. So that's one. And then another one that lets you know healing is through faith. The passage in Luke 8 about the woman with the blood issue. She had a blood issue. So when you're bleeding, you're actually considered unclean. Like everything you touch, every person you touch, if they touch you, it's unclean because you're unclean. So you basically stay isolated for, I think it was like 7 days or something. But this woman in Luke 8, she was bleeding for 12 years. So she was unclean for a very long time. And obviously isolated. And if you think of the virus, it's like we find out somebody positive and you isolate them, you quarantine them, and they're unclean. Everything they touch is unclean. We don't even want to touch each other in just walking about in the public, and we don't even know who got it and who don't. But we don't even want to touch people who is negative. But anyways, that's something else. So in Luke 8, that passage, this woman wanted to be healed. And so she thought, if only I could touch the hem of his cloak. She just wanted one touch. And so my thing is, if you're sick, if you know someone is sick, y'all need to press into Jesus. Continue to pray, you got to press into him. You got to reach out for him. And it says in verse 48, it says, when she touched him, first of all, he said, who touched me? Power went out of him. He said to her, daughter, be of good faith. So when he figured out it was her, he said, daughter, be of good faith, be of good cheer. Your faith has made you well. Go in peace. So y'all want to know the cure. Faith is the cure. Call on Jesus, believe in Jesus. That is the cure. The blood of Jesus is the cure. Because what else right now? So faith, you need to believe. And then even, I say faith because your healing can be affected by unbelief. In Matthew 13:58, when Jesus went back to his hometown preaching and doing miracles, it says, now he did not do many mighty works there because of their unbelief. Unbelief is that one thing that will, how do I say this? It affects, it can affect things. You gotta have faith because it's through faith that you're made whole. It's through faith that you're healed. You gotta believe. And then, what is faith? Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. So whatever state that this person is in, you continue to believe. You continue to believe that this person will get well. You have to, yes, you see the state that they're in, but you have to continue to believe. You have to continue to have faith. And know at the end of the day, God has the final say. So I don't know what's going on in the hospitals, but you submit, you surrender, you give it all to God. When we pray that he heals your loved one, heals you, whomever is looking at this video. But that's what you have to rely on until you get God's final word. And so that I say that because, we begin to speak death before the person is even dead. And there's, it's very true that you got to be careful about what you say. The scripture, life and death lies in the power of the tongue. We began to mourn and to wail and to, speak as if the person died because we found out they positive, and then even if they are positive, if they're in there in whatever state they're in, we don't even know because we can't be in the hospital with them. But it's like, you got to continue to believe because as far as this scripture on my wall, whatever, I love Philippians 4:8. It starts off and it says, whatever is true. Then it keeps going on, whatever is noble, whatever is right, blah, blah, blah. It says, think of these things. Think about these things. So whatever is true, if you know they're sick, yeah, they're sick, but you also know that they're alive. Right now, their heart is still going. And so that's what you continue to profess and continue to declare, that they will have life, more life here on earth. And so we should not speak death when that person is still alive. That's what I'm trying to say. So we speak on what we know to be true. That person is still here. Continue to pray to God. Continue to have faith. Ultimately, believe in his divine declaration of what will happen, because we don't know the future. But at the end of the day, you still have to have faith, and you still have to believe. For the person who is sick and for the person whose family member is sick. And then just a little encouragement on the faith, because I know some people maybe that might cross this. Maybe you didn't originally believe in God before, you got on this video and you don't believe in God, maybe, or Jesus, or maybe, so if you're that person, or or just maybe if you're just a little shaken in your faith because maybe you did have a family member pass, and maybe another family member is sick. What I do want to share with you, really for anyone who hasn't believed or doesn't believe, I'm hoping I can encourage you to believe even just a little bit, because you might think, dang, originally I didn't believe. And this is especially speaking for someone who is sick, and I don't know how they will see this. But anyways, doctors, maybe if you are treating someone inside, you have to pray for them and pray that they do turn to Jesus. And even if they spend their whole life not believing, it's not, if they're still here, if their heart is still beating, it's not too late to share Jesus with them. And it's up to them if they want to believe or not. God gives free will, so it's up to them. But you can at least share, and even if they still reject, you can still pray. So don't give up on that person. So that's what I'm saying. For the doctors, if you feel like you get a point where it's like, there's nothing we can do, or we got to let this person turn over, or we don't have these resources for that person, or whatever, you don't just let that person go. Continue to pray, because it's not over. God has the final say. And so the little thing that I want to encourage you with, if you spent your life not believing and you're starting to think now, you know what, I'm going to try prayer out. I'm going to try Jesus out, because at this point, I don't know what else to rely on. You're in a good place, because this is showing us that we should not, or we cannot rely on anything above God, because he has the final say of everything. So doctors can think they playing God, but you're not. And we have to get out of that mindset of thinking that these people's lives are in our hands. Yeah, they're in your hands, but ultimately, if God wants them to live, they're gonna live. So you gotta know that we have to not think of ourselves more than what we actually are. But Matthew 17:20, even so, it's the scripture about if you just have a mustard seed, faith as little as a mustard seed, and that's very, very small, very, very tiny. You can Google it. A tiny mustard seed. If you just have a little bit of faith, you can move mountains. So if you're someone who you're like, all my life I didn't believe, all my life, I don't believe in that stuff, I don't believe in Jesus. If your heart is beating right now, or if you have a patient whose heart is beating right now, or if you have a family member whose heart is beating right now, all they need is if you believe in what I'm saying just a little bit. If you are hearing this and you're like, you know what, you're right, because the doctors cannot cure you, but they can sustain you. But if you want to be cured and you're believing just a little bit of what I'm saying, I'm hoping that you are, because it is the truth. You got to believe in Jesus and know that he's going to be the one to heal you. Maybe you never prayed to him or talked to him, but today is the day. Today is the day to start speaking to him, declaring his name. And there's another, and all you need is a little bit of faith. So you might still be like, I don't really know. I don't really know about this Jesus thing. I don't really know about this, But you know what? If a little bit of something in you is saying, what if it is true? Maybe it's true. At the end of the day, the truth is still the truth. we can all believe in what we want to believe in. So my phone definitely died while I was talking. I had a whole bunch left that I said, and I didn't know it died. But yeah, we can all believe these different things that there is to believe in. But at the end of the day, there's only one truth. And so I believe that truth is Jesus. But at the end of the day, the truth is still the truth. So I'm asking some of y'all who may have not accepted this as truth to consider it today. Decide today that with that little bit of belief you have in your heart that, you know what, I'm going to believe. And I promise you, when you've made that decision, when you have taken that step, you will see more and more things begin to unravel in your life and to manifest. It will show you, God will show you that he is God. And so in the video before it cut off, or after it cut off, actually, I had shared another passage, but I believe it was John chapter 4. And it talked about an official that came to Jesus because his son was sick. He wanted Jesus to heal him. And basically, Jesus first says, like, you know, you guys won't believe unless you see a sign. And for many of us, before we got to know Jesus, that's kind of what it took, was like a sign to show, like, you can't deny that this was God. You can't deny it. Like in the Bible, in those points where he says, and then they will know that I'm God. Here's a situation where people will know. And so some people will still have this experience and not believe. Some people hear, and though hearing, do not hear. I'm hoping that God will allow you to see the sign that you've been seeking, but you got to believe even before you see the sign, because even if you see and you don't have a little bit of faith, then you will still reject it. You will still reject God's hand, and you will still reject Jesus in this. So if you have just a little bit of faith, God will show himself to you. He will reveal yourself. He will show up in your life. And so I'm asking you to have faith for your loved one. I'm asking you to have faith for your patients. I'm asking you to have faith for yourself. But again, or continuing on in that passage, the man, so he says this to the man, you guys won't believe unless you see a sign. And so sometimes God will do miraculous things, but you know, at the end of the day, he can do something miraculous. If you don't believe it, you don't believe it, even if it is a miracle, you know. So in this situation, Jesus did do a miracle, and he told the man, he said, the man was saying, like, okay, like, come down because before my son dies. And Jesus tells him, go, he will live. That's what he said. And so the man, on his way back, his servants met up with him, you know, caught him on his way back and saying, like, your boy, he's alive, he's living. And he asked them, what time did he get better? What time did the fever leave him? And so they said it was this time yesterday at 1, or it was whatever the time is where Jesus said, go, you will live. That was at that exact time was when they said the fever left him. And so I share that roughly and quickly. Again, that was John 4. I believe it starts in verse 43, but it's about the official and his son. Go back and look at that, because I closed my Bible already, so I'm just roughly giving it to y'all. But I want you to hold on to what Jesus tells him, go, he will live. So if you decided after this video to take this time to pray for your patient, to pray for yourself, to pray for your loved one, if God puts it in your heart, if he convicts your spirit to believe, like, look, I prayed, and what I'm believing in my heart is that, God, you are saying that they're going to live. God, you are saying that I'm going to live. And so I'm going to hold on to that. Again, faith is that conviction of things not seen. It's the assurance. So that means you're sure of this, because this is what God has told you. This is what he's put in your heart and in your spirit. So you know it, even though so far you're not really seeing it. Even though so far they're laying in that bed sick. God has told you you will live. So if you're in your prayer and you hear that, you get that assurance that God says he will live, she will live, you will live. Hold on to that. Believe on that. Stand on that. That is what your faith clings on to, is whatever his word says. And so that's what I want you to get with that. And then also in the end, when he returns, it says that then he believed. So honestly, realizing now, because it says then he believed in his household believed. So that also means before he had a little bit of faith, but he didn't truly believe. And then God or Jesus showed up, and it solidified it for him. He in his household believed. So some of you are sick, or some of you some of you are sick or were sick and you recovered. Don't forget about Jesus, because that can save your whole household. That can cause your whole household to believe. And so when you recover, tell your testimony, and y'all tell him who did it, because it couldn't have been the doctors. Praise God that he used them to sustain you up until your body was able to fight it off. But what cured you, what completely recovered you, was Jesus. So know that. And then for those of you who have already experienced the loss of a family member due to the coronavirus or due to anything else, I'm praying for you. My heart goes out to you. I'm going through these stages of grief, even for myself with my 2 family members. But it wasn't related to coronavirus. But I still have those questions, like, that we all have, like, why? Or like, why did you allow this to happen? How did you let them pass away? So I know those are coming up. And so what I say with that is just, I hope that you continue to have faith and stay encouraged. Know that at the end of the day, God is good, and he is always good, no matter what. Because truthfully, we all will die someday. And so, again, God has the final say. And so if that person has passed, then God has allowed it. And so you may wonder why, and we don't get all the answers to the questions that we have, but the things that we need to know, we will know them when it's time to know them. But in this meantime, don't give up on your faith. Don't allow the enemy's lies to get in your head to say God is not real, to say, God did this or God doesn't. Don't believe those things. God works all things out for good. And so this very bad situation, it's a very tragic situation whenever someone passes. But even in that, if you can continue to believe, you'll see how God will even work that out. And not that, they'll come back, but there is more to the story between their life and also your life. And that's personal to me when I'm considering one of my family members that died. I don't know. But I don't know what I do, but I don't know how to say it. Basically what I'm saying for you all, though, is that don't lose faith. Because if you lose faith, you will not hear and see clearly to know God's next direction for you. Don't allow that passing to paralyze you, because there are some things that are still lived on concerning that person, but through the family members. So if you want to honor God and you want to honor that family member, continue to have faith and press into what God is saying. No matter what, know that he is good. That is your solid rock. And I'm hoping, praying that you guys stay encouraged during this time that is difficult for many of us, if not all. That's it. Like the video, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video.